Protests and events were canceled today in Minnesota. We are in the alert center right now following some breaking news of what the governor has called a politically motivated assassination. So right now, we do know a manhunt is ongoing for the person who shot two state lawmakers and their family members. So let's go ahead and show you Representative Melissa Hortman, who was shot and killed this morning. She was shot and killed, unfortunately, with her husband. And the other person right next to her is Senator John Hoffman. He and his wife were injured in a separate shooting. And we do know police are looking for this man on your screen. Take a good look. This is Vance Boelter. They said he is a person of interest. Sources tell the AP he does work for a security company. So these shootings happened early this morning. Officials say the shooter impersonated a police officer in order to get into the lawmakers' homes. They say the shooter also had a manifesto and a list of targets that included lawmakers and special interest groups.
This tragic act here in Minnesota should serve as a reminder to all of us. The democracy and the debates in the halls of Congress, in state houses, in school boards, is a way to settle our differences peacefully and move society to a better place.
We've seen a lot of politically motivated attacks recently, and the two lawmakers who were targeted were Democrats. Officials have not said what exactly the shooter's motivation was. OPA lawmakers on both sides have been responding to this tragedy. Governor Josh Shapiro writing in a statement, quote, "Leaders across our country must speak and act with moral clarity this moment demands. This is unacceptable," he went on to say. "We all have a responsibility to stand up and work to defeat the political violence that is tearing through our country. America is better than this," he said. And he wasn't the only one that is talking about this. Republican Senator Dave McCormick also wrote on X, quote, "Political violence has no place in America. It is a violation of the very principles this country was founded on. The dangerous acts must be condemned and prosecuted regardless of political affiliation." All right, we will have more coverage on the manhunt in Minnesota ahead. National correspondent Atrai El-Nashar is standing by right now with a closer look at how exactly this even happened in the first place. Back live to protests continuing to take place across the country. So here's a look at some of them right here. Vegas is up there. There's Portland right there. And there's another city as well where protests are also in the streets. So thousands of cities are taking part in the No Kings demonstrations. However, officials in Minnesota have asked people not to hold these events because of politically motivated shootings that left one lawmaker unfortunately dead and another one hurt. National correspondent Atrai El-Nashar has more tonight.
Deadly political violence shaking Minnesota Saturday.
Speaker Melissa and her husband Mark were shot and killed early this morning in what appears to be a politically motivated assassination.
The suspect has been identified as 57-year-old Vance Luther Boelter, director of security patrols at this local armed security company. Investigators say Minnesota Democratic State Rep Melissa Hortman, who recently served as Speaker of the House, and her husband Mark were killed in the middle of the night in their suburban Minneapolis home. Investigators allege Boelter was dressed to appear like a police officer during the shootings.
Brooklyn Park police officers encountered the individual who immediately fired at them, and they exchanged gunfire. And then the individual was able to escape during that exchange of gunfire.
According to social media, the Hortmans were married almost 32 years and leave behind 2 children. Investigators allege Boelter also shot State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette at their home about 8.5 miles from the Hortmans' home. Authorities are working to determine a motive and whether Boelter had any connection to the Hoffmans and Hortmans.
There's certainly some overlap with some, public meetings, I will say, with Senator Hoffman and the individual, but we don't know the nature of the relationship or if they actually knew each other.
Earlier in the week, Representative Hortman made headlines as the only Democrat to vote in support of a measure preventing adult undocumented migrants from accessing Minnesota's low-income health benefits. Found inside the suspect's car was a manifesto and a hit list with about 70 different targets, including abortion providers, according to reports. Also found in the car,
there were some flyers that said "No Kings" within the suspect vehicle.
No Kings protests objecting President Trump's policies have been canceled across Minnesota as a safety precaution. As details about Boelter emerge, we're learning he was first appointed to former Democratic Governor Mark Dayton's Workforce Development Board and was reappointed by Democratic Governor Tim Walz, according to LinkedIn, focusing on employment for people with disabilities. Over in Washington, President Trump has been briefed and says such horrific violence will not be tolerated in the United States of America. The Senate and House minority leaders have asked Capitol Police to take measures to ensure the safety of the Minnesota delegation. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.